All right, hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It's breakout bag lunch, and today is January 15th, 2026. We're looking at a loss so far. I do have one trade that is still active, and at one point I was done for the day and green up over $250, but I gave up all those profits because of something really silly. And it's something you might not even be thinking about. It's not really anything to do with psychology or FOMO or emotional trading. So, if you want to avoid this mistake, please continue watching this video. It's very, very important. Alright, we'll go over the ES trades first, then gold, and then we'll do the reflection. So, yes. The first trade I took, or the first two trades were on ES. They were both bearish trades, and they did not work out as expected. Both were sold at a loss. I entered those trades because we had a bearish break of the 5-minute opening range. Then a move up into this 50%, 61.8% area, and then a move back down. And because of that, I decided to go short. But when we hit the spike up, I covered the shorts. And something similar happened here. But really, I think I just didn't like the price action here. So I ended up covering the shorts, which is, and this is kind of a bad habit to get into. I'll talk about that in a moment as well. But these were the two ES trades for the day. In terms of gold, this is where all the fun happened. Okay. The first trade I took on gold was excellent. It was about $700 plus trade. I entered here, and this is based on the 5-minute opening range. And so, as you can see, we had a bullish break at the 5-minute opening range, and this retest. Then we had the continuation move higher. And because of that continuation move, I decided to get into a long. And profit target was up here. This is where I set the limit order. And the nice thing about this trade was I just, well, at first there was not any movement at all. And we had another break, but then it was just a lot of chop and back and forth in terms of the price action. So eventually I just decided to set the profit target, set the stop loss, and move on. And once I came back to my computer about 10 or 15 minutes later, I found that my profit order was triggered, and I was up for the day about $250. But something not so great happened. I thought to myself, well, I'm done trading for today, and I turned off my computer, left home, and when I came back home, I found that I was down. And I was confused because I thought I had exited all my trades. I was like, what's going on here? But once I got back to my computer, once I got back into Topstep X, I found that since I didn't set an OCO order, a bracket order, once my limit order was triggered to get out of the longs, my stop loss was not canceled. If you have an OCO order, if your limit order is filled, then your stop loss order is canceled, and vice versa. Your stop loss order is hit, then your limit order is canceled. But since I did not had this set up with an OCO, the stop loss order triggered and put me in a short entry. So when I came back, well, as you can see, we moved down, but then we spiked back up, and because of that, I had to take a loss of about $600, which is not fun. And now the chart looks pretty bullish, so in a long entry for gold might not be the best idea, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, the number one lesson for today is set your OCO orders, kids. Do not go without those. Bracket orders are the way. Bracket orders, bracket orders, bracket orders, bracket orders, bracket orders. Now, I know this is something that I have done in the past, but I don't know. I thought I could get away without setting them. What I'm going to do once this trade closes is make sure they're set, and that is going to be literally the only type of orders I will put in. You will not see any other type of orders put in on this account for the foreseeable future. That is a promise. A promise. Okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to mention aside from that is actually related to the bracket orders, and that is just making sure I'm trading with a good enough stop loss, or in other words, a stop loss that it leaves the trade room to breathe. Because here, if I'm just going back to the ES trade, I got worried once we had this spike, but I couldn't have just held the short and gotten a little profit if I sold down here, and that would have been a winning trade instead of like a $300 loss. So that's why setting your stop loss and limit orders, and also making sure that they're appropriately placed and that you're not moving them, is really important in terms of maintaining your profitability and consistency. All right, the last thing I want to mention is that I want to make sure that I'm only taking the high probability trades. Now, in terms of ES, I'm not sure if the shorts were a high probability. We're kind of in the in-between area in terms of nearby support or resistance. At least that was the case when I took the short entry. But for gold, it was a different case. There was a lot of evidence to suggest that the next direction was up, because you can't see it here, but basically this was a demand zone for gold, area of support. Well, actually, you can see it if you look over here and here and here. In this area, we had bullish bounces for gold, and since we had another one, that was one indication that we were moving higher. Now, if you just think about this in terms of the price action for the session, well, not only did we have a bullish retracement, well, we had a break and retest to move higher, but if you look at VWAP, we also had a break and retest of VWAP, and so all these factors together suggested that that gold had a really high probability of moving higher. So yeah, it's very important to stick to the high probability trades. All right, that's going to be it for today, folks. If you have any comments, Anything you want to add to the conversation, hit me up, leave a comment. But if not, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.